tuned in to StarCHaser Central, a podcast about Charles Hampton music moments and everything in between. I'm Sig Braxton.
And I, God damn, that's exactly why I had the water. I am Mike D. Jackson.
I'm gonna ask now because how are you okay? Are you doing okay?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Just actually, I got cough drops here too, so I'm straight. I know. Last week I was a little not under the weather, but a little iffy. But like, I'm back in like rare form now. It's just like gotta get the rest of it out. Pause. So I'm good though. How about you?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. We are officially, as we are recording this in December, last month of the year. It's crazy, but we made it, so that's a good thing, I guess.
Definitely a good thing. I'm just happy to be here. Compared to last year, it's like, hey man, I'm ready, not necessarily ready to end the year, but I'm ready just to, finish strong and just, get everything I came here for.
I heard that, man. Um, but we're here for another episode, man. I've decided to, revert back to my high school days of how I would dress, reverse jersey, fresh retro jersey at that, because we are going back to the very beginning of Charles's music making ventures. We're going back to from the desk of.
Yes, sir. From the desk of the beginning. It's for a lot of us, we talk about, the Hamiltonization process and, some of our first favorite tapes, but this is the beginning, before Charles was even a household name or, an anomaly, whatever you want to call it. Speaking of throwbacks and stuff we used to wear back in the day, I really don't have anything like that, but this is the closest I will ever get to this. Bomber jacket, classic black bomber jacket, you know what I mean? I don't have the hot Cheetos or the 7 a.m. breath, you know what I mean? But this is as close as you're going to get to me wearing something from throwback back in the day. I know my brother used to have one. His on the inside was like orange, and then they had the olive green one.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, from the desk, this tape came out 2005. That's really all I know. I don't know the exact date, but it was 2005. Um, we would have been 16, so like I'm thinking about being in driver's ed, learning how to drive. I had a classmate that was terrible. He did not get his license that year.
Yeah. When y'all had to take the permit, the not the permit test, but the driver's ed, did they have like the machines or whatever that they would
No.
take to? Oh, what y'all do?
So let's say the car was like a Chevy Malibu or something like that. So what we would do was, let's say if I started the first drive if I did the first drive, I'm in the driver's seat, obviously. The teacher was in the passenger. Like the only thing I know that they had was on the floor, they had like an extra like stop pedal. So let's
Mm,
say someone if they're about to like he'd be like, shh, like,
yeah.
yo, what are you doing? I remember that happened before. Not with me, but my person. And then whoever else is doing the other driving, they sat in the back. And then you would get to a certain point, they'd be like, okay, we're parking here. You all switch sides.
Mm.
And I know with me, I had like a light foot where my teacher would be like, yo, you gotta, go a little bit faster. The other guy, heavy foot, where he's like, yo, what are you doing? You're about to go into oncoming traffic.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was like we were the opposite. But like with me, he's just like, yo, you just gotta be a little bit not aggressive, but you gotta speed up. You can't just be slowing everybody down. You know what I mean? But how was driving for you?
It was fine. Like when we had because in high school they gave you like the part of gym was like the driver's ed portion, and so we used to have like the simulation machines or whatever that would they would it's a movie slash like 6 or 7 whatever uh car parts that showed you how to do it and would test you as you drove. Then when we actually take the driver's test, we did it again. It was with the gym teacher, and I went by myself. I didn't have nobody with me, thank God. So he was like, yeah, just get in the car and drive. So then he drove me and he's like, let's take the back roads. 'Cause I'm from the country. So he's like, take the back roads. So we took back roads, which if you know anything about back road driving, that's where a lot of the most lawless driving happens. You can speed as much as you want. There's rarely any cops back there, but you also have to be the most careful because there's no lines typically, and you can barely see what's coming on the opposite end. Plus, there's like deer and shit in there, so it's a whole thing. But he took me back there, and one day he's like, "Yo, turn here, turn here." He's like, "You see that house right there? Yeah, the neighbor likes to sunbathe without a top on." I'm like, "Dog, why are we back here? Yo, why are we back here, bro?" Then he was like, "Yo, stop by Food Line." And then he got groceries. I'm like, yo, dog, what is going on? But I got my license, so that's all that matters.
The closest thing I have to that was my teacher. I don't think my person was with me, whatever. He's like, drive here, drive here, drive here. All right, I'll be right back. I drove him to his house. I didn't know it was his house. I think he forgot something. So I drove to his house. So I guess all gym teachers are basically the same. Like, oh shit, I forgot something. Hey, can you drive me over here? Can you drive me to the store real quick? All right. But that's the closest thing I got to something like that.
That's hilarious. Um, so from that's from what I remember, I obviously we didn't listen to it in 2005 because we wouldn't have known about Charles at the time. Um, do you remember your first time actually hearing the tape in full?
Yeah, I do. I want to say I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly when it came out
Hmm.
because I do remember some people were talking about certain songs being leaked.
Hmm.
This is definitely during the StarCHaser Central days on Facebook, where eventually when we finally got it, listened to it then. So by that time, probably like 2012, maybe 2013, so far removed, like probably 7, 8 years after it came out. My first time listening to it, I'm like, okay, so this is like Charles's first tape.
Hmm.
Um, it's cool. It's one of those things where I'm like, oh, it's cool to hear it, but I didn't have too many thoughts on it. I'm like, well, obviously I hear what he's doing now compared to what he was doing back then. It's like he's definitely came a long way. I could say that. How'd you feel about it?
Similar, in the sense that it was just nice to hear it. You had heard about it. He had mentioned like interviews and like different, even on Second Hamilton blogspot.com when he was saying this was from my first album from Desk of, and it had to have come out like sometime right after that, I would think, because I think that's when I heard like sometime after that. But like you, I was like, oh, this is nice to hear, to finally hear what he was rapping like back then, or like what kind of situation he was doing as far as music, but never had the place to actually talk about the music until today, obviously. So
Definitely. It's one of those things where I think it's going to be a really big surprise because we've heard, some of the newer Star Chasers say, oh, I've never listened to Pink Lava Lamp. So if you're telling me you haven't heard Pink Lava Lamp, I don't know how you've heard this from the
mhm.
desk of. And also, I'm pretty sure there's some Star Chasers like us that have been, veterans, seasoned, well seasoned, and they probably never even got a chance to listen to this because they might have dipped out before,
Mhm.
this got dropped. So this will be a welcoming experience for everybody, young, old, new, whatever.
I agree, man. Um, the tape has 12 songs. So we're gonna go through each one, and we start off with my last song ever.
So when I found out that this is a tape and then I saw, okay, my last song ever, I'm like, oh, so my man was going to call it quits early. I'm like, this was be your first, and he's like, oh, it's my last song ever. Song comes on, and then I'm expecting something else. I think I expected like something darker, and probably because of what I heard in 2012, where Charles got more cryptic and more, he got to really express how he really felt on songs. So I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, he might have really felt this way for a long time, but he's still doing the music. Then when the beat actually kicks in, I'm like, okay, it's not as dark as I thought it was going to be. Um, I know what Charles he was saying, actually, let me get my notes real quick because I wrote notes. Let's actually use them. Um, Charles talks about his early career, especially like with going into battles, how he would rap and how people reacted to him, to his music. Also family stuff that would happen, like his mom and dad, their relationship. Um, but it sounds a little bleak because it talks about, all the negative stuff. And you know what? This is gonna be my last song ever. I'm not gonna write anything ever again. So I'm stopping now.
Mhm.
And then he flips it at the end where it's like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna keep going. Until then, this is my last song ever. But I'm gonna keep going after this. And it's like that cycle as any artist, poet, whatever, you go through that. Like, hey, technically, this is the last time I wrote something. Is this my last, sonnet ever? Is this my last song ever? Is this my last? piece of work ever. Currently, it is right now. But until the next time, because that's what life is about feeling your emotions. So overall, it's a good song. It's a good message. Because at first I wasn't sure how he was going to go about it, but I think it was a good message overall. Like, hey, I go through a lot of stuff, but that's just more stuff for me to write about.
Yeah. So I'll ask you this question, and then it'll lead into my overall take on the entire album. When the song started, did you have any instant? What did your ears pick up immediately?
I don't know what they picked. I don't know what they picked up. I remember like hearing it. I was like, "What is this?" I was like, "Oh, what is this?" And then I was like, "Oh, okay." So I don't know how to explain that. To be honest, I was just like, when you say that, do you mean like how the beat sounded, how the beats sounded, how Charles sounded? You know what I mean? Because I do have a couple things about that and like how Charles used to sound back in the day. I do have, unless you want me to share that now, I can share it now.
No, talking about like his voice.
Yeah.
We'll talk about his voice later because I think that's that's a natural progression, but we can talk about that later. I'm more so talking about the beats. So that initial start, like I don't know, maybe I'm so used to Charles starting songs slow, right? Where like it's a for the beat builds to the start. You know what I'm saying? Where it's not like instant throw it out there, right? That first few seconds, like the first few parts of the song was rough for me. Cause like you're so used to hearing what Charles has done over his career that when you go back to the beginning where things are really stripped away, like really stripped to like the bare bones and like you're building stuff from like the ground up, like you're starting. It's very jarring. So this song really doesn't pick up to me until like about a minute 15 where the beat kind of settles and you can kind of understand what it's doing in the background. So I don't really like the song until the second verse, where I'm like, oh, okay, now I get it, and now it's we can get more into the message of the song, and like you said, how is this my last song ever until you hit next, and then it's the second song, then yes, that would be the case. Um, but the sonics of this album, I feel like there's elements and keys to each that would lead to who he becomes, but it makes for a very interesting listen, is what I'll say.
I'll have more to say about that when we get near the end, but I agree. I definitely agree. So it's one of those things where it's a product of its time. I'll say that for right now, then I'll move on.
We followed that up with Win a Date with Charles Hampton. Love the concept. I love it does sound like something Charles would do and would make. I feel like I would I feel like he's done something not to a T to this concept, but something of, I'm the guy the girls love. Come holler at me. He's done better songs of this version. And again, that beat is just I don't even know how to explain. I'm trying to remember what was going on in 2005 that sounds like this. And you're more of the music guy that can pinpoint specific things that would help me latch on to what I'm saying.
So I could tell you midway through the beat where I think he does a second hook and then he's like, oh, let me switch it up real quick. And then it goes into like a reggaeton type of beat if you're talking about that part. You know what I mean? Because it's like reggaeton definitely that was like when
Yeah.
it popped off, you know what I mean? But for the beat period, uh a lot of these beats, kind of sound like that. And the thing is, I know Charles will shout out certain people. Like he'd be like, yo, shout out to Black on the beat or shout out to
Hmm.
so and so, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things where we talk about Charles just starting out
Hmm.
with recording, let's say in 2005, this is going to be one of his first albums or projects ever. So you got to think about whoever he's working with. If Charles is like 16, 17 at this time, everyone else is probably like 16, 17, making beats too.
Hmm.
So they're thinking about what they heard. Oh, that beat was fire. I want to create something similar like that. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking about Millie wasn't out yet, but just you know what? I'm not saying this is the same thing, but I heard kind of something similar. I'm a Hustler. I think I'm a Hustler was out by Cassidy.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
certain beats had like certain things where I'm like, I know that drum or I know that kick, I know that snare. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So certain stuff like that where I could kind of hear like, oh, whoever made this beat was influenced by whatever song they saw on BET in 2005 or maybe even 2004. So
It does appear that way. And that's what I was kind of gonna allude to. Is like you can tell they were like picking certain parts and like maybe he was like does what he does now. Like, oh, I downloaded, Alchemist drum kits or like I've downloaded Pharrell, da 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 da. And you can hear like certain elements and then you're like, okay, but it sounds so how you always talk about how like that Nintendo sound or that video game sound that you don't like in certain songs. This project felt like a lot of that for me. I don't know what I would describe it as, but it sounded like pinball to me, if that makes sense. Like when you it sounded a lot like that. And there are some good chunks in far and in between, but for the most part, it's just a lot. The song's okay though. The song's okay. Yeah, it gets just an okay for me.
I get you. So now for my thoughts on the song, like you said, interesting idea. Charles is talking about, I guess trying to find his dream girl, and this is honesty at its finest. You're not gonna get Gucci, you're not gonna get Prada. You can win a date with me though. You're not gonna get this, you ain't gonna get that. You can win a date with me though, and it's just like, it's one of those things where it's him humbling himself. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like, hey, but you can win a date with me. It's like, bro, like, man, there's no offense to Charles, but I'm pretty sure girls be like, well, what the fuck does he have? It's like, well, I'm smart and I'm witty, I'm a charming guy,
Mhm.
I'll take you on walks to the park and everything, and I'll treat you like a lady. It's that whole feel. So um song is okay, but it's just so funny because it's like, bro, like he's literally telling you, I'm broke as shit. I ain't got no money, but you can win a date with me and you know, hopefully that'll make up for it. But overall, beat's okay. The interesting part I remember because when he does break the beat down and he do like the little reggaeton thing, he starts naming either girls he likes or probably girls he's dated. He's like, oh, all y'all can win a date with me. And I'm like, all right. But overall, song's okay.
Charles was still Charles back then, and there's like certain like songs that we can point to, like, yeah, he's always been like this. Um, Followed up with Ho.
Now we can kind of talk about this because on I think it was Sega Hamilton, that tape where Charles had said, hey, I recorded this song and it's crazy because the premise is I'm the hoe because I'm falling in love with all these girls or whatever, and I don't really know them and all that. But so he explains it. It's a cool concept. So now that I've heard, well, not now, I've already heard this before, but
Mhm.
going from that version with that beat and then this version with this beat, man, uh I'm gonna say this song is eh. And the thing is, it's the delivery of the song, and that's the progression of it. Because when you hear anyone that's rap, the first time you ever rap, you rap kind of like this, it's kind of monotone, like you don't really have enough emotion. It's just sound like this. You might be reading off the paper,
Mhm.
compared to when he did what was it, Sega Hamilton, maybe in like 2009, 2010, or whatever it was, like
Mhm.
5 years progression, and then the beat was like the beat was the beat, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's one of those things where I'm just like, once again, product of his time. So for me, I'm just like, it was one of those things where if he was to easily, if he was maybe if he kept that beat, but if he was to re-record it with more energy, but like having more experience, it's like song could have been better. You know what I mean? But it's not a bad song. It's just like it sounds like a rough draft. But it's But I like the idea though. The idea is cool.
The concept is amazing. What he like, the verses are good, you know what I'm saying? And how he's, you know, attacking again that, I'm this guy that I'm not having sex with a girl. I fall in love quickly, basically. And I feel like I want to love them, whatever. And I just can't help, continuing to do it with multiple girls, right? I love that concept. The concept is great. And you get that little sprinkle of I'm an Incubus fan here, because I think there's an Incubus sample in the beat or whatever. And that's great. But once you heard that second Hamilton version, it's like, that's the one, man. Because even like you said, just you almost wish that he kept this concept a little bit longer and waited till he got a little bit more seasoned. Because if he got seasoned, this song's execution would be so much better. Um, so like it's not a bad song. It's just you wish that the second Hamilton version was the full version with that beat because that would have taken it to. I feel like if we got the full second Hamilton version of that song, that might be one of his best songs ever.
The thing is, it's so crazy about it because I was thinking about it. I'm like, I remember for the Sega Hamilton version, I remember the beat that he used,
Mhm.
and I was like, you know what? Someone could easily, and because there's apps for that where you could take the stems, you know what I mean? Hey, take just the vocals from the original hoe and put it on that beat. I'm like, no, because the way he actually rapped it, and he was going off he's going off of his memory, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
'Cause he didn't rap the whole thing on the Sega Hamilton version,
Right.
but he actually had the cadence, he had the emotion with it, the way he wanted to spit it. But back then, you don't know any better. It's your first time doing a big tape, first couple times being in the studio, so you're gonna rap it how you think you're supposed to rap it,
Mhm.
So it's one of those things where I know I wouldn't be able to just take the vocals and just drop it on that Sega Hamilton version of the beat and be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, this will be completely fine. It's like, no, it's just still not gonna sound the same. But really great concept. And I will say this, I will disagree on the it would have been nice if he kept a hold on to it. At the same time, though, I disagree because there's always going to be better ideas and better ways to come back and redo something.
Yeah.
I've known people like when I started recording music in like 2008, where people are, yeah, man, I'm gonna wait to do this, I'm gonna wait to do that. And guess what?
Never
I've
did it.
never seen them in a fucking studio
Yeah.
ever. So it's one of those things where like it's the gift and the curse. Sometimes it's like, man, I should hold on to this idea, but at the same time, it's like, put it out. Like put it out because at the end of the day, it you never know what can happen with it. You know what I mean?
For sure. Um, Basically what you're saying is he shouldn't have kept it to himself. Which is the next song, Keep It to Yourself. I like the rapping on here. I like the rapping on here. Even despite the beat's not even that bad actually. The beat's okay. You know what I'm saying? The beat's fine for what it is. It's definitely a time of 2005. You can definitely this is when it's like you definitely 2005, right? Without the extra pinball sounding sounds. Charles gets off. Charles does a really good job with that. Um, I would definitely say it's the highlight of the tape thus far. Yeah, he just does a good job. Again, bits and pieces of him, like just being able to rap and just go on. And I think that was his main component during this time period, which is to show people that he could rap. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we've hit that musicianship part of his career just yet. Even though he talks about like when the playing drums or playing guitar and playing piano stuff like that, it's not yet the musician part. It's strictly the rapper at this point.
Right. I agree with that. So what I wrote for this was for Keep It to Yourself. This is definitely the tough song. This is the hey, I want to show aggression or like let's say if I can imagine Charles being 16, 17, showing his classmates or showing people his music and people being like, yeah, this is cool and all, but yo, you need like a song where you just like go crazy on or you just snap on, you know what I mean? And this is that song for that. Charles, he's barking a little bit on this song. I find it funny because I always noticed it, but when I actually listened to the lyrics, this was him being in his punchline flow, his bag. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Like when we talk about like Cassie and Lloyd Banks and like rappers like that, Fabulous, where I'm gonna do this like XYZ,
Hmm.
or don't get hit like XY. You know what I mean? It's the whole I'm gonna set up multiple punchlines. I'm a blah 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 like so and so. You know what I mean? So this is like that tough beat, that tough song where he's not being like, yo, I'm a gangster, but yo, just don't push me. Like, don't test me because I'm gonna, let y'all know that I'm real, even though I might be in the hub, but I might not be someone that's toting guns and all that.
Hmm.
Um, I also said, maybe the song period, maybe with the beat as well, very Smack DVD like. I don't know why this
Yeah.
reminds me of like Smack DVD. I'm like this has like a Smack DVD flow, or just like something where this is like what I'm gonna do. This is that song that's going to blow me up in the hood. You know what I mean? But it's a cool song. Definitely something that is a I would think it's a very popular song off the tape.
Yeah. Now what follows is keep it to yourself, and I want to make sure I have the correct term. Keep it to yourself. Yes. Blackout. And I believe this is Skrill.
It's somebody. It's one of Charles's homies. I believe he says it at the end. He says
Yeah.
his name at the end.
Yeah, I think it's Skrill. I think he spelled it at the end. That's why I think that's who it was. Um, I don't say this often. Um, he kind of got Charles on this one, bro. There's a reason that I think they separated too.
Here's the deal. They didn't rap on the same beat though, so I hate the compare and contrast. I know they're both called "Keep It to Yourself"
I think that's
because
the only reason I'm saying that.
right, and also I wrote it as like part two. And here's my thing, right? So I heard it before I say that. If I remember, I want to say I didn't meet Skrill, but I want to say he was at the 2015 show. I remember like Charles was outside saying what's up to fans, and then Skrill just came up, and I just remember like mad embrace where they did the whole
Yeah.
what's good, homie. This is that whole thing. But I remember hearing this, and they had him rapping on a Locks beat. I know that's Locks.
Hmm.
Um, and he's going off for like was that 5 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes, just
Yeah.
straight no hook, like the straight throwback. And once again, that this is very Smack DVD. Like yo,
Hmm.
take a random rapper's beat and just say whatever. You know what I mean? Just do whatever you want to do.
Hmm.
And then in my head, I'm like, me and Charles have stuff in common because like it's like yo, part of me is like yo, this is cool, but bro, like where's Charles at? And then I'm like, Charles didn't even rap on this.
Hmm.
Like didn't even rap on it at all. And I'm pretty sure there's people that have told Charles like, yo, you know what I mean? That beat doesn't really suit you. You know what I mean? How about you let one of the real rappers, get on that type of beat, whatever. And it's like anybody that does the gunplay, whatever. And it's like
Right.
I have no problem with the song. Only problem is Charles is not on it. So part of me is like, I didn't get this project or this mixtape or this tape to listen to someone else. I got this to listen to Charles.
Sure.
So respectfully, dope bars, but I usually do skip this because I'm like, I don't want to hear it. I'm here to listen to Charles, not someone else. So
Yeah, it's not like a staff development where it's like it's the crew. So we know there's gonna be songs that may not have Charles on it. Um, but this is an album with that is strictly Charles. So like having one song that's not Charles is kind of odd. But this also goes back to something that Charles did early in his career. And that's try to put the homies on. No matter how much, no matter what stage he was in, he would try to put them on. So it's another situation like that. Yeah, but I understand that for sure. Um, damage is done.
it's interesting because we go from, keep it to yourself, then we go to like the part two where, Skrill raps on. And then this is where we talk about Charles being Charles. This is I guess the beginning of Charles really being Charles. So you just hear a voicemail, and I guess the girl's name is Reese. She was just like, "Hey Charles, what's up? I gotta tell you, I can't do this anymore. I don't think, I want to be in a relationship, but you're still a good guy, and I hope you want to be friends still. So if you still want to be friends, hit me up and all that." And then I was like, man, because number one, I don't know how many people have been broken up with on the phone or voicemail. Never had it happen to me on voicemail, but I've definitely had it happen on the phone. So I was like, damn. And then all of a sudden you hear Charles like, hey, yo, man, drop the beat. I'm like, yo, no. Because we've already heard him do the voicemails multiple times, especially in
Right.
2008,
Yeah.
about in 2009. So I'm in my head, I'm like, oh man, so this man's just been doing this since 2005, just recording voicemails and just, oh, you know what? I got a song for you. Crazy thing is, um, Charles doesn't really go like as crazy as many of us, I guess, thought he was going to. It was one of those things where it's like, man, this could have been a song where I do this and that, but
Mm,
I was going to be like, you know what? Cool, you didn't want to date anymore. It's over. I'm going to move on, and I'm going to find someone that's better for me.
mm.
I hope you find someone better for you. I'll just tell y'all right now, this is my favorite song. It was my favorite then. It's my favorite now from the tape. It's
Nice.
always going to be my favorite. I don't think anything's going to beat the song. I love the hook. The flow is nice. He does like a little. I didn't get to say this earlier, but he does a little not biting, but what is it? Paying homage to Eminem. I
Hmm.
hear on this song and a couple other songs where he'll like take some bars from Eminem or whoever. And I'm like, you could definitely tell he was influenced by Eminem a lot on this tape.
Hmm.
Um, but I think it's a really good song. But basically, Charles just accepts what happens. He's basically telling her, hey, you know what? You're lost. You know what I mean? But my favorite part, especially at two parts. One of my favorite parts because the hook's in there. He's like, the damage is done, idiot. And I'm like, damn, shit, idiot now? Damn. But at the end, he has a little part where he talks and he's like, I can't believe I fell for you, but it's all right. You're a beautiful girl, and I'm sure there's somebody out there just for you. Just not me. Truly yours, Charles Hamilton. P.S. Get your clothes out of my apartment. I don't necessarily want my mother thinking I had girls at my house. Damn it. So yeah, favorite song from the tape. That's all I got.
Oh, I get down when you're not around. They can start wilding out, but honestly, I'm about to stop the nonsense. Hey, see, I've exhausted all of my pride. I doubt you understand it, but yet you managed to come and change everything. Ain't this ironic? The girl with the broken smile broke my heart, but she doesn't care. I'm left alone in a golden dark.
I've also always liked this song. Again, the voicemail recording is a classic Charles move, especially in the early portion of his career. So it's fun to see that even in 2005, he was collecting the voicemails, man. The voicemail's kind of crazy too because like it contains one of those lines that you just hate to hear, that you hate to hear from like a girl that you liked or like a significant other that you liked, and it's you know, it's not that I don't want to be in a relationship. I just want to be in a relationship right now. It's like, what does that mean though? Because like it just sounds like personally you're afraid to tell me no. Like you just don't want to just say, nah, this ain't working. But just say that. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that's a adolescent thing or whatever. But Charles handles it pretty well for the most part in the song and just said, no, this can't be salvaged. Just no hate, but it's just we'll go our separate ways. Yeah, song's good, the hook's good, the beat's not as pinbally as some of the other ones. And yeah, it does sound like too that because I noticed he was saying truly yours, Charles Hamilton at the end of a lot of songs. And at one point I was like, man, I wonder if that was the original name of the tape. But it's more of a he's writing at the desk and at the end of each song he's just signing truly yours Charles Hampton. It's like a letter type of situation. So I thought that was kind of cool that he was doing that throughout the tape too. So that was fun to see. You had mentioned that he had a lot of influence from Eminem. The next song to me is the number one factor in that, or the number one song that kind of shows that, and it's Scab. I listened to this song and I was like, "Oh, this is an Eminem song." This from the tone of the beat, from the tone of his voice, from the flows that he was using. This is his Eminem homage song in 2005. Uh, I don't. It's not my favorite song, but I would argue that it's probably the best song on the tape because it kind of shows his. It showed the rapping ability, and it showed his storytelling, and it showed kind of his emotional portion of his raps, right? Not just I had a girl, da da da, it's over, da, da, none of that, but just like his self or whatever, right? And I thought that was really good. Like I going back and listening to the song, I was like, this is actually a really good song. Even at 2005 to 16, 17, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I liked it, and like I said, it's just I could take this to an Eminem fan, not tell them anything, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, this sounds like Eminem," or "This has an Eminem feel to it," and they may like it. You know, what I'm saying they may have a chance to actually like the song. So I thought what he did here was pretty impressive, and yeah, I would say it's either the best song, but it's for certain my surprise pick of the tape.
So I would stay to myself, play with my belt like I wish I had a gun and a holster here. And I'd cry out for help, but when you scream inside, really, who do you suppose will hear? So after school, same old, get punched and kicked in my nose and ear. And I used to think, what if I died?
So first off, Charles is rapping on a looped beats of Amityville, which is from Marshall Mathers LP. So yeah, so it is an Eminem beat. And the thing that throws me off because when I first heard the first Marshall Mathers LP, I heard Amityville. That was a song I always skipped. So I always
Mhm.
felt a certain way about that beat.
Got it.
And I got older and I was like, you know what? Song's not that bad. You
Mhm.
know what it is? Because Bizarre is on the fucking song. If you know Bizarre, he's always saying some bizarre shit. And then um I think the first thing he says is slit my mother's throat. I think that's the first thing Bizarre says on that song. So it's like, bruh, what? So you get introduced to him in a crazy way. Um, but anyway, so I always had a certain way I felt about the beat until I got older. I'm like, yeah, the song's actually it's decent, it's cool.
Mhm.
Um, but the thing that throws me off because it's a looped version of the beat, and I'm pretty sure you can hear it. It's not looped perfectly, but the thing is, you can't really loop it perfectly because you're going to hear like some. It's like the best way I can explain it. When I was younger, I was making songs or when I was like looping beats on my computer.
Mhm.
The program was called Sound Recorder. It's just one track. So when I started the loop and when I ended it, it was like press and stop. So I had to get it right the first time. If I went over too much, it's like okay, I could skim it down a little bit and I'm good. But if I did it too short, just got to redo it over. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'd be like, well, this is good enough as I can get it. It sounds like that. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, it's looped imperfectly where he did it too fast, but I knew why he did it because there was going to be like more words that were going to be on there and it's
Hmm.
going to be annoying. So I know exactly why he did it like that. But still, it's like, but of course, back then in 2005, you didn't have ways to take stuff off and blah, 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 technology. Um, but it is an interesting story of how he talks about, how someone can snap over time you getting pushed and getting mistreated, getting bullied. It's one of those type of deals. And then he kind of just says, keep picking at me, eventually, I'm going to open up. And what he really means is two ways, because he says at one point in the song, really thought about just ending it all, where he opens up that way, or you go about it the other way, the Columbine way. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's like neither are good. You know what I mean? But overall, it's just a warning. Hey, treat everybody with respect. Be nicer to people. Kids in high school, they don't get that message. They don't really care about that. But it's it is a interesting way to go about a song like that. But for me, it's like it's all right. I do like how the beat eventually starts building because he did something to change it up a little bit. So but okay. It's a song's okay.
We have come back to you next, which very much feels like a Pink Lava Lamb light song.
Yeah, so going back to this tape, and I'm like, come back to you. This isn't what this was. Because I thought what I was like, oh, it might have been like an earlier version. No, it's just a completely different song.
Hmm.
I really like the beat. The hook reminds me of how I used to be in high school. You always had that one girl you really liked and you always went back to no matter what. And like he even says it on the song, like on the hook, like, you could cheat on me, you could do this and that, but I always come back to you. And this is like, man, it's okay to say that, when you're like 16, 17. Later on, it's just like, nah, man, you gotta get a backbone. You gotta do something else. You know what I mean? So, but it's one of those songs where it's like, I don't know if I want to call it romantic because that's not really romantic at all. That's terrible. But like the way he puts it, and it's more of the, oh, I'm really in love with this girl, and I'm gonna make sure it works out no matter what. So from that standpoint, it's like, oh, it's a nice song. But when you look at the grand scheme of it, it's like man, you gotta find someone that loves you for you, it's a good song though, overall. It's a good song. One of the songs that I like more than other ones on the tape. So if I have something like a top three, this would probably crack my top three.
It's one of the better songs on the tape. I'm like you though. It's not really romantic. If anything, this is kind of a is it a simp song?
Yes, you have to say that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it,
yeah.
it it's a simp song. Like he lost me once he said, "Yo, you could cheat on me," and I was like, "No, no, 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 no." Now, granted, hindsight is 2020. Maybe we were like that in high school, where there was this girl. Nah, it never happened to me, but like there was this girl that, yeah, like where this girl or a significant other, was constantly doing things that you would prefer them not to do. Hey, please don't talk to that guy that I know likes you, or please stop cheating on me every other week with one of my teammates. Please stop doing that. Um, and maybe, back then when they would cry or they would say, I promise you it was really nothing, da da da, that we were just gullible. And like as kids, you are gullible. You're gullible to certain situations. Um, but I'm a 35-year-old man now. And so you lose me, buddy. That's that's not gonna work for me. So good song though. Good song though.
Only thing I can say is the only thing I've had similar to that was this girl was a piece of shit for doing this. I remember it was a girl where I was like, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm feeling this, whatever. And I think she was cheating. And then I said, yeah, listen, I want to break up. And she's like, no, if you break up, I'll.
Oh
I'm like,
man.
no, no, no. And that was my first time ever dealing with something like that. Now, would she have actually done it? Don't know, but I didn't want that on my conscience at 14. So I'm like, all right, cool. And then eventually I remember at one point I was like, you know what? I don't care. And I didn't say KYS, but I said, yo, at this point, I don't care. I'm not doing this anymore. So and then she still stayed alive. So that's why I think I started realizing some people just manipulate you and they just say things just to get what they want. And I'm like, yeah, that's wild. So
Wait. And she still stayed alive. So, that's a wild way to say that. But you're right though. She did.
shout out to the Bee Gees. Also, I probably shouldn't say this, but I was a younger person in the situation, and it was a phone relationship. She was like 19. So
Oh man. She was she
yeah,
was
so
she was like Jordan on No Breakaway. She was rocking the cradle.
yeah, she's all the way. You know what I mean? And then when MySpace came out and I finally got to see what she looked like, oh man, chick was hideous.
Yo.
Chick was hideous, bro. But like I said, it was a phone relationship, so I only talked to her on the phone. It was the party line. So
Mm.
part of me is just like, I don't feel as bad because it's not like it was like I got to see her every day. I didn't see her at all until MySpace happened. And then my brother was like, yeah, you want to add her? I'm like, no.
There was a level of detachment for you, so you were good.
Yeah.
Um, we followed that up with Schoolhouse Rock. Um, I was not a fan of this one. Uh, I felt like the beats was a little bit too much for me here, and also I just wasn't in tune with the concept and with the song itself. Um, yeah, it just didn't land for me. Like I know what he was going for, but it just didn't land with me.
So I get where Charles is going with it. I think I was okay with the beat. Charles talking about the frustrations with school and teachers, and I wrote on here the teenage angst is real in this song. So and my thing is this. I said the song's okay.
Mhm.
It's just one of those things where, like you said, now we're listening to this at 35. Um, no disrespect. I don't give a fuck about your problems at school. You know what I mean? We all went through it. Now, when if I heard this when I was like 17, 18, yeah, man, school sucks. Fuck the teachers. Da, da, da. Charles was like, yo, all these teachers, I hope you all burn in hell. School sucks. High school sucks. I'm like, back then it's like, yeah, cool, but hearing it now, it's just like, I don't get it. I don't care. You know what I mean? We're so far removed from high school, so it's just like, yeah, bro, school does suck. I'm not saying it doesn't. It does suck, but it's just like it's just what you got to go through. And this is not me minimalizing Charles' experience with high school because we all had our own situations, and there's some people that have had tragic moments in school or just very bad experiences. So it's not me minimalizing it, but just overall, this is a song for a certain crowd.
Mhm.
That's the only thing I can say. It's one of those things where it just not going to resonate with older people. So
Um, Now, how you feel about the F word? And for once, it's not the word that I'm thinking.
I remember seeing this and I forgot the song. I'm like, oh man, Six will be shaking his boots. He's gonna be like, oh my God, oh no, oh no. Uh so when I heard the song again, I'm like, oh, okay. I know which one he's talking about. So with this song, Charles talking about being in the friend zone or another situation again. I remember being in situations where there's a certain girl I would like and be like, oh yeah, this and that, and then you with the you're like a brother to me, you're like this, you're like that. So Very, very relatable as a youngster. But it's funny because with the song, once again, I'm like, man, this is really more for, a certain crowd because imagine me doing this at 35, right? Oh man, I'm in the friend zone. She doesn't like me. Man.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're a grown ass man. You're a grown ass man. What are you doing, bro? But the one thing I do like is that on the third verse, kind of like what he did with my last song ever, he switches it up because then he's like, you know what? He accepts his worth and respects himself. We're like, you know what? You are right. I am a nice guy and I'm smart and I'm witty and I'm charming. And I'm like a brother to you. And I'm in love with you, but not the way you're in love with me. So you know what? We should just stay friends. And that's the F word. Friends. You know what I mean? I thought at another point, I'm like, I thought he was gonna be like, fuck, because he's like, yo, fuck out of here. I'm not. But it's like, yo, bro, that's what it is. And you have to just accept that. There's going to be some girls that like you and some that don't, but at the end of the day, just don't sweat it too much. But overall, it's a cool song. It's cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. This was my favorite song on the tape when I heard it, and I still like the song a lot. But I am with you though. It's more so just the concept and how he does like the switch at the end that I think was the best part. I think it is a relatable song. Like if you want to just reflect on your own memories and reflect on your high school days or like your earlier dating days. Yeah, I think all dudes have been friend zoned, no matter how macho machismo people act. Like, come on, bro, you can't win them all. Like that's you just can't. Um, so yeah, we've all run into that situation where this is the girl significant other that you absolutely love, or that you think you like or whatever, and they just say, "Oh, you're so great," and they hype you up with all these compliments, and you thinking, "Oh, this is the one," and like, yeah, we should just be friends. So it's just a relatable song, and I do like it. The beat again it's good for this type of on this tape or whatever. So it's a good song. It was my favorite on the tape for sure.
Being a fucking friend. You're a really sweet guy. You're cute, you're talented, and very intelligent, and we can talk about anything. I can open up to you. I'm in love with you, but not the way that you're in love with me. I mean, you're almost like a brother to me. It's better off that way, trust me, then. I guess what I'm saying is let's just, fuck out of here.
Um, Karen song version 3.0.
No,
Okay, do you
I'm
want
gonna
to
tell
move
you right
on?
now, no.
Okay.
But I will explain a little bit. So once again, this is like one of Charles's first projects ever. Um, I'm assuming someone was like, "Hey, man, when someone else that had maybe been recording a little bit longer than you and they try to give you some advice on how to record stuff or hey you should add this in or add that in, so I feel like someone said, hey man, you got to add some reverb to your vocals. It makes it sound better. Like you ever hear how artists on the mainstream they have reverb on their vocals, so you got to add some reverb. And then whoever, I mean, let me not say Charles recorded this, but he probably did, but either way, whoever did it put reverb times 100 on the shit, and it just sounds like you're in an echo chamber in a damn bathroom. You know what I mean? It's just no. I did like the hook because the hook doesn't have it on there, but it's just this is one of those songs where I'm like not listenable. It's one of those things where I listen to it obviously for the review, but after that I'm like I can't do it. No.
No, no. Um, I listened to this song and I sat there for a while and thought that the song hadn't started, like he didn't start rapping until I listened a little bit more closely. And I was like, "Oh no, you're rapping right now. Like this happening right now as we speak." And I said, "I said, oh no, I can't do this. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I didn't even get to the hook. I couldn't do it. I was like, I can't do this. This isn't a no matter what he does, it's not gonna be a listenable offense for me. I can't do this. So the fact that this is also called 3.0 is kind of weird because like, are there two other versions? He must have done this two other ways, and there's a different. I know, and we're gonna get into it right after this song. Um, I know there's another one titled this song, but I think it's 3.1. Um, but yeah, this song is just no. It's just no.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's unfortunate because I know we've talked about this before, where like later on when Charles has done the lo-fi stuff and some stuff's not it sounds like this, or it's too low, or it's too high, or it's too much grainy, or too whatever. With those songs, it's like you can at least control that. Hey, turn the volume up. You can, kind of lower it a little bit. Listen to earbuds. With this, it doesn't matter if I'm listening to it in earbuds, in the car. Like if something's too loud and it's in there, it's done. So, but as most of us that have recorded music before, we've always made that mistake before where we put something on a song like that and didn't think it was bad because we're like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. And then it's like, no, you have to have people sit there and tell you, nah, re-record that or take that off completely because that was not it. So
I also wonder if this is the beginning of Charles trying to have it his way in a situation. We don't know the story, obviously, of the recording, but I wonder if he was like, "Yeah, I want to do this," and the dude was like, or whoever was like, "Maybe let's not do that," and he just fought so hard to have it on here. Don't know. I would like to know the story, but for me, it's a definite no. I would love to hear how the other Star Chasers feel about it. We finished the tape up. Technically, also that was the end of the tape, technically, because he kind of says it right before then. That's how I know at least that he was saying some things, and then whatever. But the tape fully concludes with him having a little fun. Garbage rapper, where he raps over one of the most played songs on the radio during this time period, or around this time period, Holla Back Girl. And before we get into this, I must ask you is a time old question that I think has never really fully been answered, Mike. What in the fuck is a Holla Back Girl?
so I'm gonna just answer this saying I don't know. I know the hook, a few times been around that track. Not going to happen like that because ain't no holla back girl. So, and in the song, she's talking about like some girl disrespecting her and being like, "Oh nah, we gotta fight." We got So I don't know. I just feel like if I had to give a definition, like, hey, just define it real quick. Basically, you're a girl that doesn't take any shit, you know what I mean, and you're gonna hold your own if you have to. That's what I'm assuming, you know what I mean. So that, other than that, I truly do not know. Don't know.
How you feel about Garbage Rapper though?
So in the beginning, when I first heard this, I remember because you hear and another thing that people have done in the beginning, let's say if you oh I need like a girl to sing the rap this part, whatever. I don't let me do it myself and then pitch it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like in the beginning, I'm like, oh no. I'm like, please don't rap like this the whole song. And he doesn't. It's just for that part. And then
Yeah.
later on. So I'm like, okay, cool. So like you said, Charles is having fun with this. You could definitely tell also, number one, you, I don't want to hear anybody try to rap on this beat and try to do lyrical, miracle, spiritual. Yo, I got the gun in my lap, gun in my palm. Over your head, under your arm. Like, no, that's not what this beat's about. You know what I mean? I thought it was creative that at one point in the song he literally names like all the songs that previously were part of the tape,
Yeah.
and he did it in a lyrical way. So I think that was cool. Um, and it's a nice way to end the tape. You know what I mean? Because compared if Karen's song legit end of the tape, it's like, well, I'm skipping that completely. So Charles just has some fun. He spits some bars. Goes for a while, and then after that, he just says, hey, this is the tape. You know what I mean? And there's gonna be more to come. So, and then he had fun with it. So I think it's a cool way to end the tape. I had fun listening to it. It's a good song to end the tape. It's cool.
Yeah, other than that beginning, where you were like, if you're gonna do this for the entire song, this is gonna be another skip. Other than that scary portion, I do like what he did. Like I said, I like that he was naming off his songs and made sense in the rap. Again, just having fun rapping over it. That beat was always hard. I don't care what nobody says. Darren heard what we now would suggest is very much appropriation. Not only to the black community, but that Harajuku girl thing was also appropriation. She was double appropriation. What a sandwich.
She
Anyway,
was she was Ariana Grande before Ariana Grande.
that's facts. Big facts. Um, Ariana Grande. I saw somebody thought that she was Hispanic. Somebody on Fox News.
I don't blame them because like if you didn't know her and you just saw her because she had her black phase, the the Asian phase, the
She's very
white phase,
confusing.
yeah, the Hispanic phase. So she's had like four phases. You know what I mean? So and counting, she might go for another one.
Oh,
You
she
never
like that. She like the Avatar.
know. Black, white, Asian.
Oh God. What I also liked about the song is that he alludes to sober karaoke, which I thought was really cool that he was able to do that. Obviously, nobody would have known back then that that's what he was kind of alluding to, but just picking up on that sober karaoke drop and knowing what we know, that's cool that he was, kind of talking about that and like I got more stuff on the way, and we all know that clearly was that was what it was going to be. And that one also has that Karen song. That's the 3.11. So when we get there, we will get there. But yeah, fun way to end the tape. You wanted to talk about Charles's voice at some point. So what were your thoughts on that?
All right, so it's the same thing like I've said before. Like when someone starts rapping, you you don't know how you're going to sound. You don't know how you want to sound. You have to build yourself up. So of course you're going to be picking and choosing from your biggest influences. You know what I mean? So of course, like we said, the Eminem thing. You can hear Eminem in the bars. You can hear Eminem kind of like in some of the cadence and songs. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna tell you. Like I kind of told him. So I think it was Friday night, might have been Friday or Saturday. Um, I told Charles that this wasn't the next episode that's coming out. I said me and Stick are going to be reviewing it. I'm like, just letting you know we're reviewing it. It's not going to be the next episode, but so just was wondering, how he felt about that. And he's like, yeah, that was the first thing he really worked on, or whatever. He didn't have too many comments, but I don't know why. But for me personally, on some of these songs, I can hear him. I think it's because of his voice, because he was younger. Kind of sound like Bow Wow. To me, he sounded like Bow Wow, like a person that was like a lyrical Bow Wow, because Bow Wow was more like flashy when he was younger. You know what I
Sure,
mean?
yeah.
But like I heard like Bow Wow in his voice. You know what I mean? And he is from Cleveland, so I'm like, yo, Cleveland, Cleveland's Bow Wow. So I'm like,
Yeah.
that makes more sense now when he said that in like 2012. So I heard, the Eminem influence. I don't know how much he was influenced by Bow Wow. Probably not, but still, that age bracket though. You know what I mean? So I'm
Mhm.
like, I hear Eminem, I hear Bow Wow, and it's just like it was just I just could not like not hear the influences, but like at the same time, you're a blank canvas. You're a blank template where you're just like, okay, I want to just rap and that stuff. It's interesting to see how that comes out
Mhm.
because even like with anybody else, I bet you any other rapper, it's the same exact way. So it's just interesting to see how he sounded back then.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think of songs where I can hear it, and I can hear like flashes. I think where he kind of sounds, he has this inflection of like Bow Wow or whatever, right? Not necessarily the style or substance or whatever.
Yeah,
They both have two different styles or whatever. But yeah, it is funny listening to people and their younger stages because obviously as time goes on, we all change, our voices change or whatever. And Charles's, energy picks up in certain places. He learns how to, like you were talking about, how to add emotion to certain deliveries or change his tone or like add something to the way he raps to give it its own certain style or whatever. And it's just not here just yet. But again, a lot of bare bone stuff here that kind of, would later, define his career. So it's cool seeing that, man.
totally, totally.
But we did listen to From the Desk of nearly 20 years later. So we're about to review it, man. Let us know what your review is, any pros and cons, and the character rating you are giving it today.
So, like you just said, over 20 years ago, so that's a long time. I will say this to start off, this for being one of Charles's first projects ever, and the fact that he even put it out is very commendable. It's a good work for his first project. The thing I want to make sure I and that I that I stress is that, like he said, there's more to come. So the fact is, for a lot of people, you're going to be going from current music to going back to 2005.
Hmm.
A lot of this music's dated. The beats are dated. Maybe some of the flows might be dated. How Charles sounds. I won't say immature, but just like he was, he's growing. It's training on the job. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Literally like on the job training. Like, hey, this is my first day. This is my second day. My first week. The tape definitely sounds like that. So for people that have never heard it, I would definitely tell you. If you're a new Star Chaser, you've never heard it, definitely listen to it so you can see where Charles came from. If you're an older Star Chaser and for some reason you never heard of it, still check that out because it's still a great way to see, his promise and where he's came from since then.
Hmm.
But overall, this is not for us to be pussyfooting around. I'm
Hmm.
gonna be honest. It's definitely not his greatest work, and it's not supposed to be his greatest work. It's like one of his first tapes ever. So the beats for at the time, like I said, they're dated. The raps are cool, you know what I mean? But overall, this hasn't aged the greatest. But at the same time, when it's your first piece of work that you're putting out for the public, usually it doesn't. So for me, I still recommend people that haven't listened to it go listen to it, but I'm going to give this a Mecha Sonic 2. It's a product of its time. I wouldn't necessarily say it's bad. It just hasn't aged the greatest. It's 20 years old. It sounds like it's from 2005. And if you're not a big fan of 2005 music, you're gonna feel a certain way about it. But overall, Mecha Sonic 2.
Yeah, I'm glad you stressed a lot of the things that I was going to stress. So just to reaffirm those things, uh, this album sounds exactly like it is. It sounds like a first album, right? So you have to go into it understanding that portion, and not the first album. Like, I think a lot of us when we talk about Charles, they'd be like, Charles' first project, the Pink Lava Lamp, and it's like that's the first project that a lot of people heard, sure, you know, but that's not his start. So that he didn't come out the gate with the pink lava lamp. That's not how that works. There was a build-up portion to the pink lava lamp that he got to, and the stark differences between that project and this one is a huge gap, right? But you can this there was a couple of years in between that, so you understand the growth that he had. Um, but this is very much a first album, so the beats are going to sound very high schoolish, we'll say, right? And the subject matter may sound very high schoolish. Like there's like young adolescent 16, 17-year-old, even though he had a tenured or very seasoned life at that up until that point, right? Not to the intent that he'll have later, but the subject matter isn't there quite yet, right? Um, but again, there's bare bones there, so you can feel the Eminem's homages, the Incubus samples, the love and relationship songs that we would grow to love ourselves, right? So the stuff is there. So it's fun being able to see where he started and then go to like another tape that you love and be like, oh, I can see where he did that here and where he did that there, right? So that's the fun of this album is kind of seeing the beginning, the 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 foundation of the house. So that's the appeal of this tape. There are some songs here that are okay. I don't know if they'll end up on people's playlists because they are so dated. You might find one or two there, and I think that's kind of where I'm at too. The beats are just too hard to get over, and there's some songs like Karen, the Karen song where it's an attempt at something but just doesn't land the mark, and a lot of songs don't land marks. So I'm actually following with you, Mechasonic 2, but not because this tape is doesn't deserve a listen. It's just because when you compare it to what he actually does later, it has to fail in comparison to those songs. But it is something to go to so you can hear the growth that of the artists that we all come to know and love.
And one more thing I'll add to it. For anybody that is a Star Chaser or Charles Hamilton fan, or just artist in your own right, put out your first works, put out your second works or whatever, because you can only get better from there. I remember like before I actually like went into the studio, like I still have my old notebooks when I was 16, 17, like those songs that never got like actually made into songs.
Mhm.
Now, if you wanted me to share them and make them into songs, no, absolutely not. I'm not going to do that. Even the songs from my first mixtape called My First Mixtape. If y'all was like, yo, I want to hear what you rapped on there. I'm like 18, 19 at the time. Some of the songs, cool. Some of the other ones, I'd rather y'all not listen to that. You know what I mean? But it's just it's a product of growth. You know what I mean? You got to start somewhere. And this is not a bad place for where Charles started. He got a lot better. So I'll say that.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, and like you said, everybody's first project isn't or first piece of art. It usually doesn't reflect well at the end. It's very rare. Like we all aren't Nas, right? You know what I'm saying? We all aren't Nas. That's not how that works. But even my first book, Random Comments or whatever, secretly I hate that book now. But it's still good to go back and look at it and be like, I can see where I was going here. I just didn't have enough, my skills were up to par just yet. I was just, writing to be right. But, you know, we all grow and now we dropping hot shit. Like we're Dylon, Dylon, and Dylon. And Dylon and Dylon. But how do you feel about From the Desk Of, man? How do you feel about Charles's beginning? What were some of the standout songs for you? Did you see what early elements of Charles did you pick up on the tape? Let us know in the comments. You can follow us on YouTube, StarCHaser Central. You can also follow us on Twitter, StarCH Central. Be sure to follow us on our individual pages. I'm at StickAround54, STIK around 54 on Twitter and Instagram. Mike, where can they find you, buddy?
On Instagram, the Mike Jackson, Mike Jackson. On Twitter, Mike D Jackson, Mike DEE Jackson, 1D, 2 E's. Holla at me. Make sure you guys are following Charles on Twitter at Charles Hamilton. Make sure you're subscribed to him on YouTube at The Talented Mr. Hamilton. Last but not least, please make sure you guys are checking out the blog. That's where you're going to get the most in-depth anything. So if you want to know the most about Charles, go there. enterthehamilton.blogspot.com. There it is.
Be sure to let us know what you want us to listen to, man. We got, a few more episodes before the end of the year, and then we'll be picking up in January with a whole new set of stuff. So we're always looking to listen to, some new tapes, some old stuff. Maybe you can go back to the beginning again with some earlier tapes. But yeah, we just appreciate everybody for listening. And yeah, Mike, you have anything for the people before we head up?
Actually, a question for you, because obviously
Sure.
you're wearing the throwback jersey and wearing it backwards, whatever.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say pause.
Sure.
Are you wearing the jeans backwards too?
No, no, I wouldn't. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not. We're not. We're not that. I mean, we're okay. How do I explain this? We do know crisscross. However, we weren't at the age where we would have been doing that.
I got you.
Yeah,
Only reason I asked because also because it's crisscross. Also, there's that picture of Charles with crisscross when he was younger. You know what I
that's
mean?
true.
So
Yeah.
shout out to that. But also, that was the actual first cassette I had. My dad bought me, and they had this interlude on there where they were talking about that. And the dude was dissing them about what's with the backwards clothes. You know what I mean? Wearing your pants backwards. And the dude says, and I quote, "At least I don't have to unzip my butt to take a leak." End quote. I always thought that was funny. So, because he's not wrong.
That no, he's technically correct. Yeah, that is very inconvenient. Just thinking about that, that's not great.
No,
Um,
but that's it. That's all I got.
got it. If anyone's feeling froggy, how about everyone just in the comments or the Discord? Why don't you share your first work, man? Share one of your first pieces of art, and then we'll just share and be funny. I'll share one of my first pieces of work if everybody else does.
We listen. We do not judge.
There we go. TikTok trend. We are signing out of the StarCHaser Essential, man, where we always encourage you to follow your dreams.
And reach for the stars.
Oh! And what? The damage is done, idiot.